This is Math 6100 2037 trimestral, and our lessons for today is all about limits and continuity. So first, we have now the objectives, the limits and continuity part 2, no? At the end of this session, students will be able to 1. Understand and apply the rules of limits in computing four limits of a function. Number 2, understand and use one-sided limits in computing four limits of a function. And last, understand and apply indeterminate form and squeeze theorem in computing four limits of a function. Okay? So last week or last meeting we have discussed about the mathematical language. And we have different statements like the equivalent statement, the and statement, the or statement, the contrapositive, the inverse statement, and the converse statement. So those are the types of mathematical language. So by this time, you're going to discuss all about limits. Okay, it's also a part of the differential calculus or calculus 1. So we have now the rules for limits. So there are rules for limits that we need to understand and use in computing limits. So the following are the rules for limits. Okay? So number 1, we have constant rule, no? Sabi dito, if k is a constant real number, okay, the limit of k as x approaches to a is equal to k. Next, the limit of x rule. The limit of x as x approaches to a is equal to a. And then, for the following rules, we assume that the limit, the function of x, as x approaches to a, and limit g, which is a function of x, as x approaches to a, both exist. So by this time, we have two functions. The limit of your function x and the limit of your g, which is a function of x. So first, we have now the rules for the addition and subtraction of limits. Limit as the quantity, the function of x plus or minus g is a function of x as x approaches to a. So ang gagawin po natin dito is i-distribute natin yung column limit natin sa bawat nasa loob ng column natin. So meron tayong dalawang function dito. So we have the limit, the function of x as x approaches to a plus or minus limit g, which is a function of x as x approaches to a. Okay? So that is for the addition and subtraction of limits. Next, we have number 4. We have the product rule. So two functions ulit, we have the multiplication operation. So limit as the quantity function of x, okay, multiplied by g, which is a function of x, as x approaches to a. So gagawin po natin, i-distribute natin ito isa-isa. So we have limit the function of x as x approaches to a, multiplied by limit g, which is a function of x, as x approaches to a. And for the last one, we have the quotient rule. Okay? The limit of the function of x divided by g, which is a function of x, as x approaches to a. So the same procedure ulit, no? Kunin natin yung limit ng numerator at yung limit ng denominator. So we have limit the function of x as x approaches to a divided by limit g, which is a function of x, as x approaches to a. So in our quotient rule, you have to observe this condition, provided that the limit of your denominator, which is equivalent to limit g, which is a function of x, as x approaches to a, should not be equal to 0. Okay? Pag naging 0 yan, ibig sabihin, may gagawin po tayo doon sa functions natin or the equation po natin ng denominator. And we have to use the formula in algebra. We call this one factoring. Okay? So we're going to factor numerator and denominator. be sure that if you're going to factor your numerator and denominator, you must have a common factor para silang dalawa ay makakancel. Okay? So we have your D, example number 1. Limit times the quantity 3 plus 2x as x approaches to 4. Okay? So, applying rule 1, 4 and rule 1, 2. So, gagawin po natin dito, didistribute natin yung limit sa bawat function. So, we have limit 3 as x approaches to 4 plus limit 2x as x approaches to 4. Okay? Yung 3, walang problema dahil magsalang siya, no? At the same time, this is a whole number. Di tulad sa 2x, meron tayong whole number at saka variable natin which is x. Okay? So 2x is a factor of 2 times x. So we're going to use or apply the rule for multiplications of limits. So magiging 2 multiplied by limit x as x approaches to 4. So ginamit natin itong product rule, no? Dito, no? Okay, dahil yung 2x, factor niya is 2 times x. So by this time, we're going to substitute now our limit to our variable which is x. Okay? So 3 plus 2. Okay? So walang problema doon sa constant. Okay? Yung x, papalitan natin ang limit natin which is equivalent to 4. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 3, we have 11. So that's now your answer. Next, you have your example number 2. Next, find the limit of a polynomial function with one term. So we have only one term of a polynomial, no? So the limit of 3x squared as x approaches to 5. So 3x squared is a factor of 3 multiplied by x multiplied by x. So we have limit 3 multiplied by limit x squared as x approaches to 5. But x squared is the same as limit x as x approaches to 5 multiplied by limit x as x approaches to 5. Okay? So by this time, na-apply na natin yung multiplication rule or product rule. So we're going to substitute our limit doon sa variable po natin. So yung x, our limit is 5, then multiply by 5. So 5 times 5, we have 25 multiplied by 3. So we have now a total of 75. Next, you have your example number 3. No? Find the limit of quantity 4x cubed minus 6x plus 1 as x approaches to 2. So gagawin po natin, didistribute natin ito sa bawat function. So we have limit for x cubed as x approaches to 2 minus limit 6x as x approaches to 2 for this one plus limit 1 as x approaches to 2. Okay, ito na siya, no? Then after that, we're going to substitute your limit to our variable just like what we have done in your example 1 and example 2. So we have 4 multiplied by x raised to 3, so we have 2 raised to 3 minus 6x, 6 times 2 plus 1. So 2 raised to 3 is 8, no? We're going to multiply 2 3 times. 8 times 4, we have 32 minus 6 times 3 is 12. So 32 minus 12 is 20 plus 1. So we have now a total of 21. Next, we have your example number 4. Okay? Find the limit of x squared plus 2x minus 3 divided by x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay? So, solution dito, sabi niya, rule 7 cannot be applied directly since the denominator is 0. First, factor the numerator and denominator. So, ito yung quotient rule po, no? Tulad po ng sinabi ko, doon sa quotient rule po natin, provided that the limit of the denominator is not equal to 0. Pero dito, check po natin, 1 squared is 1. Minus 3 multiplied by 1 is 3. So 1 minus 3 is negative 2 plus 2, so we have 0. So by this time, your denominator is equal to 0. So what we're going to do, we're going to factor both numerator and denominator. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 3, x squared minus 3x plus 2. Okay? So tulad po ng sinabi ko kanina doon sa quotient rule, there must be a common factor between your numerator and denominator para silang dalawa ay mag-cancel. So dito, meron tayong common factor x minus 1 sa taas, x minus 1 sa baba, para silang dalawa ay mag-cancel. Okay? So, alam po ninyo kung paano mag-factor? Do you have any idea kung paano mag-factor ng polynomial?
FOIL method.
FOIL method, okay? So, ano pa? Using the binomial method? Depende po yun sa inyo, no? Okay. So, dito, ang problema po natin dito is kung paano kunin yung common factor. Okay? Dahil yun ang first na gagawin po natin bago natin isunod yung next na factor niya. So ito yung common factor. Ano yung susunod dapat dito? Okay? So first, paano kunin yung common factor? So titingnan po natin yung limit po natin dito. Our limit is x approaches to 1. Ibig sabihin po nun, since our limit is positive 1, so we have a common factor which is x minus 1. So kung ano yung sign dito, dapat baliktad po siya dito. Kung positive, dapat negative dito. So x minus 1 sa baba, x minus 1 din po siya sa taas. Okay? So ganun po yung paghanap ng common factor nila. You have to base that on our limit. X approaches to 1, so your common factor, since this is positive 1, is x minus 1. Ito na siya. Okay? Sunod, paano kukunin yung second factor? So, gagawin lang po natin dito, tingnan po natin yung last term ng common factor natin dito, which is negative 1. So, gagawin po natin dito, yung last term ng polynomial natin, which is positive 2, i-divide natin siya dito. So, positive 2 divided by negative 1, you're going to have negative 2. So, yun po yung sagot dun sa second term nung isang factor niya. So, we have x minus 2. Check natin. X by x, we have x squared. Minus 2x, itong dalawa, using the FOIL method, x by negative 1 is minus 1x minus 2x, we're going to have minus 3x. Minus 2 minus 1, we have positive 2. So, ganun po yung technique po natin. Okay? So, next sa taas, we have x minus 1 as your common factor. Ano yung second factor niya? Okay? So, kunin natin uli, negative 3 divided by negative 1. So, if you're going to divide that, you're going to have positive 3. So, this is your second term of the next factor. Okay? So, we have x plus 3. So, x by x, we have x squared. 3 times x is 3x. X times negative 1 is negative x. So, 3x minus x, we have positive 2x. And then, positive 3 multiplied by negative 1, we have negative 3. Okay? So, by this time, x minus 1, we're going to cancel. What's left will be x plus 3 divided by x minus 2. Okay? So, next, we're going to substitute our limit, which is equivalent to 1. Ito na siya, no? So, we have x plus 3 divided by x minus 2 as x approaches to 1. So, we have 1 plus 3 is 4. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. 4 divided by negative 1, we have negative 4. So, ganun yung, yung technique po natin, no? Kung paano mag-factor. Next example, no? Compute the value of the following limit. Okay? Limit 3x squared plus 5x minus 9 as x approaches to 2. So, tulad po ng ginawa natin sa example 1, 2, 3, didistribute natin siya dito. So, 3x squared plus limit 5x as x approaches to 2 minus limit 9 as x approaches to 2. So we have 3x squared. So plus 5 limit x minus limit 9 as x approaches to 2. So doon sa module natin, nagkaroon po siya ng typographical error, no? Pakiano na lang po, no? Dapat, supposed to be dito, ang limit natin is negative 2. Kasi yung sinobstitute na nila doon sa module natin is negative 2. Hindi siya positive 2. Okay? So, no matter of presentation nito, so i-check po natin. Okay? So, we have 3x squared, negative 2 squared po siya. Plus 5 multiplied by negative 2 minus 9. So, dapat ito ay x approaches to negative 2. Okay? So, negative 2 squared is 4 times 3, we have 12. Plus 5 times negative 2 is 10. So, 12 minus 10 is 2. Minus 9, we have negative 7. Next, we have the another quotient, no? 6 minus 3z plus 10c squared divided by negative 2c to the fourth plus 7c cubed plus 1 as z approaches to 1. Okay? So pag titignan nyo, yung denominator by this time is not equal to 0. So ang gagawin natin, we're going to substitute our limit both numerator and denominator. So ito na siya, no? 6 minus 3 multiplied by 1. Okay? Our limit is 1. Okay? So yun po siya, no? And then, plus 10 multiplied by 1 squared. Ito na siya, no? Okay? Divided by negative 2 multiplied by 1 raised to 4. Plus 7 multiplied by 1 raised to 3 plus 1. Okay? So, simplifying, 3 times 1 is 3, no? 6 minus 3 is 3 plus 10, we have 13. Okay? So, sa baba, negative 2 multiplied by 1 raised to 4 is 2 pa rin. Okay? 1 pa rin. So, 1 times negative 2, we have negative 2 plus 7. Kasi 1 raised to 3 is 1. So, negative 2 plus 7 is 5. Plus 1, we have 6. So, the answer is 13 all over 6. Next, we have evaluate the following limit. X squared plus 4x minus 12. Okay? As x approaches to 2. So, pag titignan po natin, yung denominator po natin, substitute po natin dito, 2 squared is 4. Minus 2 times 2 is 4. So, 4 minus 4, we have 0. The same with your numerator. 2 squared is 4 plus 4 by 2 is 8. So, 4 plus 8 is 12. Minus 12, we have 0. So, pag titingnan po natin dito, our numerator and denominator is 0. So, tulad po ng sinabi ko sa inyo, since we have a 0 in our denominator, we're going to factor both numerator and denominator. So, paano po yung technique? You have to base our common factor for your numerator and denominator. We're going to get that in our limit. So, we have x approaches to 2. So, their common factor is negative 2. Ito na siya. Okay? X minus 2, x minus 2. Ito na siya. So, x approaches to 2. This is positive 2. So, therefore, your common factor, both numerator and denominator, is x minus 2. So, x by x, we have x squared. X by 2, we have negative 2x. So, next, paano kunin uli yung second factor? Pag hindi nyo kabisado, so tignan po natin ito. Yung last term nung polynomial natin, negative 12 divided by negative 2, so we have positive 6. Okay? So, i-double check natin. X by x, x squared. Itong dalawa, minus 2x. Ito, plus 6x. So pag sinimplify nyo yan, we have 4x. Negative 2, positive 6, we have negative 12. So ganun po yung technique kung paano siya mag-factor. Okay? Next. So, since meron kayong common factor, mangyari po doon, magka-cancel na itong dalawa, yung common factor. What's left will be x plus 6 all over x as x approaches to 2. Okay? So, if we're going to substitute that one, 2 plus 6, we have 8. And x, our limit here is 2, so we have 8 all over 2. The answer is 4. Ano siguro, no? Okay? So, we have 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. Okay? Next, we have another example, no? Indeterminate forms occur when substitution in the limits results in 0 divided by 0. So, tulad po lang dati, 0 uli yung numerator natin, 0 uli yung denominator natin. In such cases, either factor or rationalize the expressions in the example below. Notice the zero-zero form. Factor and cancel common factors to determine the limit. So we have example here. The limit of x plus 5 divided by x squared minus 25 as x approaches to 5 is 0, 0. Sabi niya, no? So paki-double check na lang po, no? Kasi based on our module, okay, yung limit natin nandoon is positive 5. Pero dapat it should be negative 5. Kasi pag positive 5 siya, 5 plus 5, we have 10. Okay? So hindi siya 0. Pero dito, if our x is equal to negative 5, negative 5 plus 5, the answer is 0. So dapat, ang limit po natin is negative 5. Okay? So, since our limit is x approaches to negative 5, alam po natin, their common factor is x plus 5. Okay? So, x plus 5 sa numerator, x plus 5 sa denominator. Ito na siya. So, tama yun, no? Yung procedure natin, yung technique po natin kung paano kunin yung common factor. If our limit is x approaches to negative 5, their common factor is x plus 5. So, x plus 5, x plus 5, mangyari po dito, magka-cancel na po siya ngayon. Okay? Then we have x minus 5. So, natira will be 1 all over x minus 5 as x approaches to negative 5. Okay? So, negative 5 ito, no? Negative 5 minus 5, the answer is negative 10 po siya. Tapos na natin to kanina, no? No, ulit lang, no? 13 all over 6, meron tayo kanina. Ito, yung 13 all over 6. Pareho pa rin siya, no? Okay? Next, we have your D. Another example. If we're going to look on our functions or equation, meron tayong radical expression. So ito yung problem po natin kung paano natin ma-simplify yung radical expression. So limit t minus the square root of 3t plus 4 divided by 4 minus t as t approaches to 4. Okay? Pag naalala nyo, in your lower mathematics, pag meron kayong sagot na 1 divided by 1 all over square root of 2, so that is not yet your final answer. So, gagawin po natin, yung 1 all over square root of 2, we are going to rationalize your denominator. So, pag ni-rationalize natin yon, ang gagawin po natin doon, mo-multiply natin siya ng square root of 2 divided by square root of 2. Para yung magiging sagot po natin, walang radical doon sa denominator. So, 1 times square root of 2 is square root of 2. Square root of 2 multiplied by square root of 2, we have square root of 4. That is 2. Okay, so wala na siyang radical expression sa denominator. Okay, so dito sabi niya, let's try rationalizing the numerator in this case. So we're going to observe or follow yung square of E binomial. Pag naalala nyo yung square of E binomial, if you're going to multiply A plus B, A minus B, your answer is a squared minus b squared. So, ganun po yung gagawin po natin para yung b squared natin, naka-radical expression, yung square root, tapos raised to 2, magkakancel po silang dalawa. Okay? So, dito, we have your a. So, pagpalang natin, this your a minus b, no? So, yung a natin is t, ang b natin is square root of 3t plus 4 divided by 4 minus t. So, we have a minus b. Para maging squared siya, i-multiply natin siya ng a minus b multiply by a plus b. So, ito yung a minus b natin, ito yung a plus b. Okay? So, yung numerator na denominator, ganun pa rin. 4 minus t, ito yung a plus b divided by a plus b, 1 pa rin siya. Okay? So, walang nagbago doon sa original equation po natin. So, we have a minus b multiplied by a plus b. We are going to have an answer of a squared minus b squared. Okay? So, yung b squared ngayon, ito yung squared natin, the square root of 3t plus 4 raised to 2. Yung raised to 2 is itong raised to 1 half. So, yung square root, kaya yung raised to 2, magka-cancel na po siya. Kaya mangyari, ganito po na yung nangyari. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, a plus b, a minus b, we have a squared minus b squared. Yung b squared dito, nag-cancel yung squared, kaya yung square root. Kaya wala nang radical expression doon sa numerator po natin. Okay? Pero sa denominator, ganun pa rin, 4 minus t multiplied by t plus square root of 3t plus 4. Okay? Next, we're going to, okay, simplify, no? Ito, i-distribute natin ito at saka dito. So, we have t squared. Ito, magiging negative 3t siya. Ito, positive 4. We have minus 4. Okay? So, we have 4 minus t. Okay? So, since if we're going to substitute, yung ang sagot po natin dito, magiging 0 siya. Sa taas, okay? Kasi t squared is 4, squared is 16, minus 12, minus 4. So, 16 minus 16 is 0. So, ang gagawin, since meron tayong 0 sa numerator, ifa-factor po natin siya uli. Okay? So, since our limit is t approaches to 4, ang isang limit natin will be t minus 4. Ito yung magiging common factor nila. Okay? If our limit is t approaches to positive 4, ang common limit nila will be t minus 4. Okay? So, t minus 4, tulad na dati, kung paano kunin yung second factor, negative 4 divided by negative 4, we have positive 1. So, this is now the factor of your numerator. Sa denominator naman, saan natin makikita yung t minus 4? Ito siya, 4 minus t. So, baliktad siya, no? Dapat t minus 4. Eh, dito, 4 minus t. So, paano natin gagawin t minus 4? Pag gagawin natin t minus 4, dapat i-multiply natin ito ng negative sign. Negative, no? So, negative times 4 is negative 4. Negative times negative t, so we have positive t. So, mangyari doon, we have t minus 4. Ito na siya, no? Okay? 4 minus t, ito na yung natira yung negative. Dahil negative times negative 4 is negative 4. Negative times negative t, we have positive t. So, t minus 4, itong dalawa magkakancel na, naiwan yung negative po dito. So, sa taas, t plus 1, t plus the square root of 3t plus 4. So, if we're going to substitute yung limit po natin, 4 plus 1, we have 5. Sa baba, 4 plus the square root of 3 times 4 is 12 plus 4 is 16. The square root of 16 is 4 plus 4, so we have negative 8. So your final answer will be negative 5 all over 8 po. So next, this is our last example before you're going to have our exercise. 2 minus 3 plus h raised to 2 minus 18 all over h as h approaches to 0. So dito, yung limit natin is 0 siya. So pag gano'n, inisip natin ng sagot ay 0 na lahat. Okay? So what we're going to do, we have to simplify our equation. Okay? So dito, minus 3 plus h, we're going to use the binomial a plus b raised to 2. If we're going to expand that one, we have a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So, ganun po dito, no? This your a, this your b raised to 2. A squared, so negative 3 squared, we have positive 9. Minus 2a, 2 times 3 is 6, multiplied by h, so we have minus 6h. B squared, so h squared. Next, didistribute natin ito. 2 times 9, we have 18. 2 times negative 6x, we have negative 12h. 2 times h squared is 2h squared minus 18. So by this time, 18 and 18 are going to cancel. What's left will be negative 12h plus 2h squared all over h. Okay? So by this time, pag sinubstitute na natin yung h is equal to 0, 0 na ito, no? Pero we can still factor your numerator and denominator. Pag titignan po natin sa numerator natin, ang common factor nila is h. Okay? So ito na siya, no? Negative 12h plus 2h squared. If you're going to factor that, h minus 12 is negative 12h. h times 2h, we have 2h squared all over h po siya. So we have negative 12 plus 2h. Dahil ito, cancel na siya. So your answer is 2 times h, which is 0. So 2 times 0, we have 0. So what's left? We have negative 12. Okay? So next, for 5 minutes, okay, try to solve these exercises. Pagkatapos nun, pakilagay po yung sagot natin sa chat box. Okay? Okay? So meron kayong sagot, no? So for number 1, the answer is negative 7. Okay? Isa po na natin yan kanina, no? Pag titignan po ninyo, saan na ba yun? Ito. Limit 3x squared plus 5x minus 9. Okay? So that's our exercise number 1. 3x squared plus 5x minus 9. So x squared is negative 2 squared is 4 times 3 is 12 plus 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So 12 minus 10 is 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Okay? Next, for number 2, limit 3x squared plus 7x minus 16. Okay? X squared is 6. Squared is 36 times 3. We have 108. Plus 7 times 6 is 42. 108 plus 42, we have 150. Minus 16, we have 134. Okay? So, tama, no? Next, for the last, third one, 2x squared plus 1 all over x squared plus 6x minus 4. The answer is 3/4. So, tama yun sa inyo, no? So, 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1, we have 9. 2 squared is 4 plus 6 times 2 is 12 is 16. Minus 4 is 12. So your answer here is 9 all over 12. If we're going to reduce that into lowest term, so we have 3 all over 4. And for the last one, x minus 2, 2 minus 2 is 0 siya. So we're going to factor that one. So their common factor is x minus 2, x minus 2. Paano kukunin yung susunod na second factor? Pag ito ay x minus 2, so we have 8 divided by negative 2. The answer is positive 4. So x minus 2, we're going to cancel. What's left will be x plus 4. Okay? So we have, the answer is 2, x, positive 8 divided by positive 2. So we have negative 4 pala, no? So your next factor is x minus 4. Okay? So 2 minus 4, the answer is negative 2.